Hey, what's up? It's Pat Flynn here, and I'm excited because in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 ways that podcasters are making a good amount of money. And I'm not talking advertising and sponsorship. Yes, that is an option, obviously. Many companies pay to get in front of audiences, but what if you don't have an audience? What if you're just starting out? What if you aren't yet at the numbers that advertisers and companies would be interested in? Well, there are 3 other options for you, things that are viable, even if you have a small audience. So if you are starting a podcast soon or you already have one, make sure to pay attention because this could be life-changing for you. First, let's start with the easiest and simplest and the one that you could do even with episode 1 of your show. That's right, affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is earning a commission by recommending other people or other companies' products. And it's a brilliant strategy because a lot of audiences are already buying things. However, if you can be the one to connect the audience to that product, that company will reward you for that through a commission, and that is affiliate marketing. Now, like I said, you can do this from episode 1. However, obviously, when you have one episode, if you haven't built an audience already, it's going to take some time for that audience to build. However, if you recommend products that make sense for who it is that is in your target audience, and of course, those people are interested in those products, the cool thing is whether they find you immediately after you upload that episode or even years later, you will have planted that seed, that link within that episode to drive people toward that product. And of course, you can generate an income over time in a more passive sense, which is the beauty of this. Affiliate marketing is also great because it's not a product you have to create. These are products that already exist and likely your audience is already buying them or some of your audiences. And if you can tell stories about them and share how they've helped you or introduce your audience to them, well, then it could be a win for everybody. A win for the company because they're getting new customers, a win for your audience because they're getting the recommendation from you and your expertise and your knowledge and experience. Because what you're doing is you're curating. There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of products and noise out there. You are doing them a service. You're saving them time by saying, hey, there's a lot of products out there, but you should check out this one because it helps you do this. And of course, if you can inject your own personal story into it, and guess what? A podcast is perfect for storytelling. Well, then it's going to be easier for a person to trust you and your recommendation and go through that link. Now, where might you find products that your audience could potentially buy? Well, obviously, you want to know what the pains and problems are of your audience, or you might benefit from simply asking those on Twitter or Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and other communities, what have you bought lately that has been really helpful related to blank? And then people just literally tell you what they've been buying. These are things that you can actually take note of, maybe get involved with, maybe purchase so you can get a sample, or even reach out to the company and say, hey, I'd love to work with you. Can I get a sample or can you send me the product so I can review it and talk about it on my show? And honestly, what's the worst thing that can happen when you ask? They'll say no and that's it. But what's the best thing that can happen? Yeah. I'll link to some other videos related to affiliate marketing, but I wanted to plug that in here because it is in fact the easiest thing to do to be able to start generating an income. No, you're not going to make $1 million overnight, but over time you can lead to a point where you're getting a number of commissions every single month. These might be products that you promote from the Amazon Associates program, which is Amazon's affiliate program, or it might be a software that you use or potentially a course that you've taken that you want to now promote to your own audience. All kinds of products could potentially have an affiliate program. And again, I'll link to some information about affiliate marketing and how to get started below. Number 2. Yes, selling your own products. Obviously, if you are on a podcast, you're building it. Yes, selling your own products, or a product might be a number of different things, right? It could be a software, it could be a coaching service, an online course, it could be a consultation, it might even be an event, something that you create that you then talk about on the show, and that could work really, really well. Now, one thing I want to let you know about, this is sort of a secret, right? I want you to tell people about this thing even before it's created. I mean, you might already have it, in which case, okay, you're leading up to a launch or something like that, or you can just plug it and mention it and talk about how you created it and how you used it and tell the story behind it. However, if you are building this audience on a podcast and you are understanding who they are through email marketing and just having conversations with them, when you are thinking about creating a product, do not wait until the product is done or complete to then sell it on the podcast. You should sell this thing as you are creating it, by telling stories, by sharing the behind the scenes of your thought process, by who you're working with, by the struggles that you have. I've done this several times when I've created the SwitchPod with my partner, Caleb. The SwitchPod is a physical product. It's this tripod right here that took, over a year to develop. If we had waited until the product was finished and then talked about it, we would have lost out on an entire year's worth of marketing through how we were building this. And we've talked about this on the podcast several times. I've spoken about it on the YouTube channel. So by the time this thing came out, it wasn't a surprise. In fact, people were rooting for it to do well because we taught them and provided value all along the way. And plus, people are just interested in how you do what you do. When I've launched my books, like my book Superfans back there, the one behind that called Let Go, and my other one, Will It Fly? I talked about the process of writing those books. I shared that these books were coming out. I even got the audience involved in having them select which cover they prefer. And in doing so, not only am I gaining information, but I'm also plugging this book even before it's out. This is what they sometimes call working in public. And this is a term that you might hear time and time again now, because you can journal your way to a launch, or you can share your progress as you are creating something versus just sharing the creation once it's done. The other tip I have for you, if you're going to sell your own product, is to invite people who have used that product. So if it's an online course, for example, invite your own course students on your show and interview them. Too many podcasters want to interview A-listers all the time, and they forget about the people who could probably do a better job of selling their own products, their own customers, their own students. I'm sorry, I get a little passionate about this. But check this out. This episode right here, episode 275, featured 3 students who took my Power Up podcasting course. I didn't ask them why my podcasting course was awesome. I asked them, well, why do they want to get into podcasting? I asked them, well, what was hard about it? What was the struggle? And then I asked them, well, what took so long and what finally got you over the hump? And of course, what do they say? Well, Pat, it was your course. Pat, you made it so simple. Pat, you removed all the scariness of the technology. And of course, what does that do? A person listening on the other end goes, hey, that person's just like me. I have the same fears. I have the same wants. And look at where they're at. If only I could do the same thing that they did. What's the common thing? Oh, they all took Pat's course. Okay. This one episode had accounted for over $150,000 in sales when this episode came out in conjunction with a launch for this very same product. These 3 students, in fact, were beta students who took it before it was open publicly, and they sold it way better than I ever could. Work in public. Talk about these things as you're creating them. Or if you've already created them, invite users on your show, interview them about the before, after, and the transformation. And I promise you, you will see sales, especially as your audience continues to grow with how evergreen podcasting can be. So we talked about affiliate marketing. We talked about selling your own products, whatever that product may be. Thirdly, is more of a Patreon situation. Now, there's a lot of tools like Patreon. Patreon is a tool that allows you to essentially collect money from your audience who are fans of your show. And in exchange, depending on the different levels that they pay, they get access to certain things. They might pay you just $5 a month because they want to support you, similar to a PBS paid for by viewers like you type of model. Maybe at the $10 model, they get a call with you every single month, and only patrons or supporters through that platform have access to that. Maybe at a $50 a month situation, they're getting one-on-one access to you once a month for 30 minutes. Maybe for $5,000 a month, they are able to come to your house once a year and just be safe if you make that a thing. I'm going to link to a podcast episode below where I interview the founder, Jack Conte, as well as Tom Merrill, a user of Patreon who is making well over 5 figures as a result of building his community there. He's also a fellow podcaster in the tech space. Now, Patreon isn't the only platform that could allow you to do this. It could be something like a Kickstarter. I know a lot of people who have launched their podcasts and have gotten support from their fans on platforms like fundraising platforms like Kickstarter. Perhaps you want to bring people into a membership community. So it's sort of a hybrid model of fans plus product in a membership community that has a recurring payment coming your way for access to a community of like-minded folk. There's also Supercast, which allows you to create sort of a privatized feed that people have to pay to get access to. Maybe it's an ad-free feed at a certain level, or perhaps it has some exclusive content that they can't get anywhere else. And all the links to all these things that I'm mentioning are down below in the description. So if you've just started your podcast or you're about to start your show, don't get discouraged by small numbers. In fact, most podcasters don't have more than 1,000 downloads per episode. However, there are people who I know who just have hundreds of downloads per episode, who have a very loyal fan base, who are paying them hundreds of dollars a year to get access to their craft, their art, their knowledge, whatever it might be. And let's do the math here, right? Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans. Imagine 1,000 true fans of your show, just 1,000, right? And they're paying you $100 a year. That's less than $10 a month for whatever it is that you offer. Maybe it is a Patreon. Maybe it's a course or ongoing coaching, whatever it might be. That's a 6-figure business right there. 1,000 times 100. Hopefully this paints some perspective in terms of the fact that you don't need a blockbuster hit. You don't need a viral podcast. You just need content that relates to people. You need to tell great stories, and you need to inject these solutions, whether it's affiliate marketing, your own products, or a way to support you back from the value that you've been giving and offering this whole time. You can make it happen. And you don't need those advertisers and sponsors. If you get those, then cool, that's a bonus, but you could monetize even before that. I highly recommend you check out my step-by-step full tutorial on how to start a podcast, which is accessible right here. And I guarantee you this is going to help you get started, and there's nothing better to do so. So click right here to get started with your show if you haven't already. Thank you so much, and hit subscribe so you don't miss out on other stuff to help you, the content creator who deserves success. Peace.